What's going on, guys? Unknown Player here, and today we've got some very crazy stuff to talk about, things happening inside Destiny 2 right now and actually beyond. Believe it or not, we have some info leaked about Destiny 3. Yes, you heard that correctly. It's a very small tease, but also comes from a very reliable source. I mean, from this, we can connect the dots to a bunch of other things that have been mysteries for a very long time inside Destiny and could be focal points of Destiny 3. As well as that, we have pretty much every single detail about the Thunderlord exotic and how we're going to get it. So we're going to look at all of that, as well as the mission inside the Cosmodrome of Old Russia. And of course, there are more random bits of news and stuff you guys should be aware of. So as always, a lot to talk about today inside this video. Of course, if you enjoy it and want to support the channel, a like rating helps out a ton, and let's get into it. So the renowned leaker known as Anon9 has actually been talking about some Destiny 3 stuff and some details which are very interesting. Like I've said, at this point, they have been 100% correct about everything. They definitely either work for Bungie or know someone that works for Bungie or some way to hack information. I don't know how, but they have a lot of information. Before Forsaken was even revealed, this user did point out all the new supers, new locations, and a bunch of stuff, and was of course correct. Also, before Forsaken, they did leak a bunch more stuff story related and cutscenes, and again, they were correct. It was actual stuff that wasn't the full game. And then more recently, this user has leaked a bunch of stuff about the Black Armory and also of course the Thunderlord, which we now know is coming for a fact. You guys know I'm normally pretty skeptical about most leaks and look into where they come from, but as we can see, this guy is definitely 100% correct, and they definitely know some information. So what they're saying about Destiny 3 is most likely also true. So Anon9 posted an image of this with the caption saying it can't wait, and if you don't know, this is an image of the icy moon Europa, which is the moon of Jupiter. People are commenting that this was Europa and speculating maybe this could be a future DLC location as in Destiny 2, because of course so far he's been leaking Destiny 2 stuff, but then he replies saying it Destiny 3. So they're basically saying Destiny 3 Europa can't wait. Now, what is Europa and why is it significant? There's actually a lot of info about this place so far. So it's an icy moon of Jupiter, which is next to Io and also said to be a Vex controlled planet. There was a colony there during the Golden Age, but of course after the collapse it was lost and buried under ice and snow, and this is the only concept art we have so far of Europa officially from Bungie. Now, where this gets interesting is that Europa is a Jovian, which means it's a world around Jupiter or one of its moons, the same as Io, and also of course the Jovian worlds are ruled by the Nine. There is actually a race or civilization that lives here called the Jovians, which are supposed to be human-like species, and Xur is one of them. He is an example, and again, these are all ruled by the Nine. This also ties in perfectly with some of the Destiny 1 lore, which states that Europa was one of the birthplaces of the Nine. Osiris did actually meet the Nine on Europa as well, so if the Vex are here, that could make sense why he was there having a meeting with them. Now, this does also tie into some content we've gotten so far in Destiny 2, so of course we have 3 locations related to the Nine: the Third Spire, which is the Trial Social Space, and then Equinox and Eternity, the 2 Crucible maps. All of these snowy and icy places look very similar to Europa. I don't think they are the same place, but there's definitely a lot of coincidences here. Inside the Third Spire, you can see this humongous planet, which looks pretty much identical to Jupiter, of course, with no rings, and this is also exactly what the view from Europa would look like. Also, in real life, the moon Io is actually between Europa and Jupiter, so that small one you can see in the distance is most likely Io, and also if you go there in-game in Destiny 2, you can see Europa in the distance, which is the icy one. Again, I'm not saying these places are definitely inside Europa, because it's probably a lot more complicated than that, because of course we can see this seems to be inside a black hole, but of course the Nine are related to the Awoken, who we know also have these pocket dimensions inside black holes, so a lot of similarities, but this could be Europa in the past or the future, or just an alternate dimension. We've also had lore in Destiny 1 and 2 that said that Ahamkara apparently survived around here, around the Jovians, so Europa again could be a place we see them. We recently learned that the Drifter fought some creatures which are part of the actual darkness on a mystery icy world, so this could be again Europa. We know we are fighting the darkness, aka the pyramid ships, in Destiny 3, so it could tie in here. But either way, those are some of the connections and things we know so far about Europa and what we could see there. Now, the thing about Europa wasn't the only thing that Anon9 posted, so they did make one talking about a Destiny 3 concept they heard and hoping Bungie doesn't screw it up. For some reason, his post was deleted. I'm not sure why, but someone asked, what did you hear? And then he replied saying, Guardians using darkness, OW areas PvPvE. I'm guessing OW means open world, so open world PvPvE. Again, it does sound pretty crazy, like someone just spewing stuff on the internet, but like I've also said, they have a 100% proven track record, so you can't really doubt them. Everything has said so far has been correct. Especially with Forsaken, we have definitely seen a massive trend of Bungie teasing the idea of Guardians being maybe the bad guys, maybe evil, maybe flirting with the darkness a little bit. I wouldn't really be surprised if we did start using some darkness in Destiny 3, if there was like a choice between some dark subclasses and light ones as well. That would be really, really cool. And also open world PvPvE, like imagine being in patrol and then you got some dark Guardians walking around that you can fight and shoot against like it's Crucible. But comment down below, what do you guys think of this stuff? It all sounds very crazy, the darkness, the Nine, Europa, but let me know what you guys think. I mean, at this point, Destiny 3 is nowhere near finished. It's still being developed right now, and I'd say the earliest we could probably expect it would be September September 2020. It's definitely pretty crazy to be getting Destiny 3 leaks this early, but I personally don't think it's too bad or too spoilery. I like the vague leaks because they aren't really spoilery. You can just kind of speculate and guess about what might happen, like I've been doing in this video. But at the end of the day, we still know pretty much nothing about Destiny 3 other than the fact there's going to be some kind of great war between the light and the dark, and of course it's us against those giant pyramid ships, wherever they are. But it will be very interesting to see if this person leaks any more stuff about Destiny 3, so we'll have to wait and see, but of course I'll let you guys know if he does right here on the channel. So going back to Destiny 2, let's talk about Thunderlord, the Cosmodrome, new quest lines, and also loot rewards. Of course, we've seen bits and pieces of the Thunderlord so far, but now we've got 100% concrete proof. So if you didn't believe it before, now we know for 100% fact it's going to be in the game on the 30th with the Master Ives quest line. Now this info is from someone called Ginzel, who I've covered before, is basically a data miner, so they can go into the game code and find a bunch of stuff. But we have the official icon for Thunderlord itself, so of course in game they put a yellow background behind it to make it exotic, but this is the overlay basically. Now we also have two different ornaments for the weapon itself, so of course these are going to change the weapon's appearance, and then we have two bundles where you get the ornaments from. So it seems like it's going to be identical to the Wisp of the Worm or the Black Spindle. The second you do the quest and get the weapon inside Eververse, going to be these two bundles to buy. There's also the icon for Thunderlord, so this is going to be the UI icon that shows in the bottom left of the screen where your weapons are. We have its lore tab, which is pretty strange, but feel free to pause the video if you want to read it in full. And then we also have 3 perks tied to the weapon as well. So firstly is Feeding Frenzy. This of course was a perk in Destiny 1. It was also on Thunderlord, but not in Destiny 2 so far on any weapon. This perk is now in the database publicly, so you can see it. And again, this would only be applied to this weapon, so it makes sense. But Feeding Frenzy gives you a bonus in reload speed for a short time after getting kills. And then there's also Lightning Rounds, which was the main exotic perk back in Destiny 1. And this one would let it fire faster and more accurately the longer the trigger is held. So it basically turned to an absolute machine. The weird thing is that Lightning Rounds is not showing as an exotic perk with the fancy yellow icon. It's showing as a regular white one, the same as Feeding Frenzy, whereas there's a third perk, which is the exotic version. Nobody knows what this perk is going to do, but it seems to be a bonus perk on top of it. And of course, this is going to be the main intrinsic perk for the weapon, so I'm interested to see what it's actually going to be. Fun fact, the original Thunderlord in Destiny 1, it did have a secret hidden perk, and this was basically a sort of firefly, so any kill, not just headshots, would sometimes have a chance to spawn a massive explosion. Come to think of it, a lot of Destiny 1 exotics did have secret perks. I'm not sure if any Destiny 2 ones have one off the top of my head, but let me know if you guys know any. I remember Plan C had lightweight, also of course G-Horn had grenades and horseshoes, Thorn had arm-piercing rounds, and of course Thunderlord had the explosion perk. I'm not sure if I have it in this version. So on the 30th, we're of course getting the quest line, which is going to be to solve the murder mystery of Master Ives. Someone killed him. It's called A Lost Cryptarch, and it says Amanda has a tale to tell, one of death gone unnoticed and a wrong to be righted. It then says Amanda has caught a break in the hunt for clues about Master Ives. When you complete it, it says Amanda is not convinced the story is over, but she wishes to thank you all the same, so you get a reward from it. I actually don't know what that reward itself is going to be. I highly doubt that is going to be Thunderlord, because it makes sense to get it in-game in the actual quest line, which I'm going to explain. Now, in terms of the quest line itself, it sounds pretty cool, but Ginzel posted some more text lines and audio files about the actual mission. As expected, this is indeed going to be inside the Cosmodrome of Old Russia, or at least a part of it. So we've got text lines that say the breach, which is this location right here, which we'll get back to in a second. It says Old Russia, Earth, the Cosmodrome, investigate the breach, escape the Cosmodrome, leave the Cosmodrome, and defeat the Fallen. It says the Fallen have set a trap for unwitting Guardians, eliminate them to bring justice to Ives' killers, so they are the ones responsible. We're actually going to be using a Fallen teleporter and a cloaking device to sneak into the Cosmodrome, so apparently we're not supposed to be in there, and Zavala says quarantined. I'm not actually sure why we're not allowed inside the Cosmodrome, because we did technically or supposedly defeat Siva, so there should be no threat, and of course the Fallen have abandoned it. It says once you're done exploring the Cosmodrome, head for the transmat pad and return to the tower, but there might be still something of interest in the area, so of course that is going to be relating to Thunderlord. But it is going to be quite a nostalgic mission, so there's lines about when you're outside at the wall where the cars are, and Amanda's talking about the collapse and what went down there. But they definitely give the impression that it's going to be the outside kind of car area all the way up to the doorway of the breach. I think that's pretty much the entire location, of course not the entire Cosmodrome. We also don't know this, but I would assume that after Festival finishes, it's still going to be available as a questline for anyone else, the same way the Whisper one is. But essentially this questline is going to be a huge throwback to the very first gameplay demo where Thunderlord first dropped from. If you're wondering why Bungie are doing this and why it's so significant, this was the very first time time actual Destiny gameplay had been shown off to the entire world. So before this, it was just cinematic shots and concept art. This was the very first time that real first-person Destiny gameplay was shown off almost 5 years ago, back in 2013, so a very long time ago. Also, Thunderlord inside this demo was, of course, the very first exotic to ever be shown off inside a Destiny game with real gameplay. So you can see why it's such an important piece of history for this game. It makes complete sense why Bungie would want to honor it with this cool little festival questline. Also, as a fun fact, but this mission doesn't actually happen at all anywhere in Destiny 1. So originally in the demo, they of course fought Rixus here inside the breach. In the final game, Rixus only appears at the very end of the first mission. You don't fight him into a later mission. Of course, it's in a different area to the breach. Bungie did add a patrol high-value target called Karis, who you do fight inside the breach, and more sort of a throwback to the original demo, but now we're getting the proper final return. So this time in Destiny 2 with the actual drop of Thunderlord. So it's going to be a cool Easter egg and way to revisit a bunch of nostalgia, and of course also seeing the Cosmodrome with Destiny 2 graphics will be nice as well. But of course, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. But that is going to do it for today's video. As always, hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, a like rating before you leave would be much appreciated. If you don't want to miss my future videos, then of course you can subscribe down below and turn on notifications, the bell next to it, and that way you won't miss one. You can follow my Instagram and Twitter down below in the description, and clicking on this image will take you to another video from me. But as always, I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.